I like to meet people I've never met before, document images and gain a really close, intimate moment with them. And I feel like that is through shooting on medium format and film, and this very raw, intimate moment I've had with them is then shared. My name's Sophie Carson. I'm a portrait and fashion photographer from Norwich. I went to university in Leeds, studied fashion photography. My focal point would be shooting on medium format. I love it. I wake up and I'm like, photography. Shooting on medium format is the best thing. Portraiture, I love portraiture. And now based in London. I created these images for people who, I guess, haven't experienced Sonder. They reflect that everyone has a life as complex as their own. Probably my favourite image I've ever taken, which was shot on my Mamiya RB67. I had no idea where I was going with the images, but I had this red jacket from Sanucci and I knew Shem was the perfect fit for the jacket. When he came and we met together on that day, we had a walk around Leeds city centre actually, and I came across this kind of like burgundy wall and it was perfect. The shadows on the wall, there was parts of the wall that sunlight was hitting, parts which wasn't, and because he has this beautiful skin, it really contrasted against the jacket and the light, and yeah, he's beautiful. I cast for all my shoots and I like creative direct them too. I think that's what makes a really good image is the casting ability, which yeah, Shem just made this image. I shot on Portrait 400 and I also think that helped enhance the colours. I have this weird thing where I work with a model and then I'm unlikely to work with them again just because that idea I had like can't get any better with that person. Like I need new faces. But Shem, I can always work with Shem. He's great. Yeah, so this was another photo shot on my Mamiya RB67. This was in Portugal, in Lisbon. I was actually on a family vacay and I forced my parents to go from where we were near Albufeira up to Lisbon for a couple of days so I could meet some models. I met up with Gani, he's with Face Models. He was perfect for what I was going for. I wanted that like old money style. I wanted you to look at these images and think this is abroad somewhere. You know, this isn't in England. I must have spent about £400 in Zara. Styled him, did the shoot and then returned the clothes, but it worked. His face is the focal point in these images. This image here was actually shot on my Canon 5D Mark IV. This was the Algarve coast. I met up with my friend Ko and he was a tour guide who does all the boat tours around the Algarve coast. So he knew of all these hidden destinations and we found this private beach that had all these rocks stacked on top of each other. He's full of tattoos, which was the purpose of the square vest. So you could see the butterfly. There was a purpose for each garment. I wanted the linen flowy trousers, socks off to keep with that beach kind of theme. And then we like would wet his hair like every 10 seconds to keep with the like, I've just come out the sea look. The idea was I didn't want him to look like a stereotypical high-end fashion model. I wanted someone who was from Portugal. I wanted someone who lives in Portugal. He knew the area, he was comfortable in the area, and that was home to him. This was Manchester. Yes, I was with Alexander. This was a shoot that I was asked to photograph for a stylist. She wanted to do some personal styling, get some more experience in that. We had multiple outfits and we were just walking around and finding things that worked. And what I really liked about this shot is, I guess, the framing with his head leant up against the pole, but it was almost shot slanted. Slightly behind him, there's another pole and then the tram lines fit perfectly above the cat. And it's kind of messy, but it works. And with his hand just cupped like around the lamppost and him not giving us like direct eye contact, he's looking away from the camera, but then once again it's his face card, you know, which I really like. Alex, he's very attractive and he never modelled before. It was, I think, my first time shooting on medium format, not so close up, bringing it away almost below his waist. It still captured an intimate moment, and it still makes you think, who is this person and what's going on with this image? What actually was the moment I captured? And also I just think the styling was simple, but it works. I think a lot of the clothing in my images, there was almost like one piece or it's a couple of pieces, very simple, but it works. This was probably my favourite shoot I've ever done. I shot it in a studio in my university, and I persisted that I needed an animal or animals in this photo shoot. It was an inspired shoot with Gucci. I was thinking, what could I do? What animal? But I haven't seen doves in like a cool fashion editorial. I called up every single West Yorkshire dove company. They were all for events. And I called them all up and I kept persistent and found this one man who used to be a photographer, and he said, let's do it. I said, great, I only need a few. This man came with 3 baskets full of doves. I had 15 doves in the studio. My tutors just thought it was so funny because it took me weeks to sign off a risk assessment. That was what's so fun about this shoot. It was so messy. It was so hard to find a time when the model was free, when the stylist was free, when the hairstylist was free, when the assistants and the lighting tech and everyone was so busy, and I must have planned the shoot in 2 weeks. I wanted it to have a basic backdrop. I wanted the garments to be the elements. It was the styling that helped this photo, and Shem's got his like hair undone in an afro. We wanted the doves to fly, but I signed on this risk assessment that I would not let go of a dove. You know, I told my tutors no dove would fly. A dove did fly. I'm so sorry, Sarah, I love you, but I did let a dove fly in your studio. And I think the animal being the dove really worked well against Shem and like his skin. They really complemented each other. But also I think because doves represent, you know, like peace, freedom, elegance, and Gucci being this high-end fashion that also enhances elegance, the beige tones, old school vibe, like a school kid, but it's Shem. It could have been anyone wearing that and it wouldn't have looked as good. It was my first time like directing a big shoot, and I had a lot of people around me. It was fun because I wanted to show Gucci that if I was given the chance to work with Gucci, I can create a cool concept. My Instagram is @Sophie Carson, which is 2 E's and no I. That's where all my work is. If you want to work with me, message me on Instagram. My email's on there. Give me a DM. I only work on medium format. That's my passion and that's my love. So if you want some portraits taken on film, message me on Instagram. I have always been a fan of Rosie's work. Rosie Matheson is a portrait and fashion photographer who shoots, I believe, predominantly on the Mamiya RZ, and her work is insane. Anytime I need inspiration, I'll look at her work. She did a book on boys on medium format. It really inspired me to create my series on Sonda. The close, intimate portraits she gets with her models and her subjects is very similar to what I want to do. I love her work. Her choice of casting is really strong. She's very good at posing her models and getting that intimate connection with herself and the model. Rosie, if you see this, I love you. Yeah, so Fummy is another person who works on medium format, and I met him not too long ago, and I think what helped was learning who he was as like a person and understanding him and his work. I think his work is beautiful. He shoots a lot in the studio with medium format, and he does personal work as well as his work with his agency. Obviously a lot of the images on the screen, they're portraits, but he's done other ones of garments, high-end fashion. It's very different to Rosie's because it's like in the studio. He's given me inspiration to start shooting medium format in the studio, whereas I've always kind of done medium format outside of the studios. I love location shoots, but looking through Fummy's work, I'm like, oh, I need to get in the studio. I need to start working with a team of people, bringing these big concepts to life, whereas I'm kind of just working with maybe the model. Fummy works with like a team of people. What I like about Fummy, he's quite quiet, but his quiet presence creates this very loud work. His art style is very niche, very bold, poppy colours. It's beautiful. My local favourite Yeah, so Lewis Gant does shoot on medium format as well. I recently came across his work with the dogs, and I'm not really normally into like pet photography. The black and white really stood out to me as someone who always shoots on Portrait 400 color. Like, these images are beautiful, and the same with his portraits further down. He shot on Kodak Gold, and once again, they're stunning. And he does like food photography and a lot of like use a medium format with clients. I'd like to learn more about his work and how he does it.